Hey everyone, it's me Michelle again and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video I am coming back with another what's for dinner. This time I am going to be sharing 4 meals I made for my family over the week, and if that's what you're interested in seeing, just keep on watching. Starting off, I am going to be making a honey mustard chicken bake in the oven. I am making my own marinade for it. I put the measurements for it up on the screen. I've been cooking for a while now, and a lot of times I forget or I don't have the exact measurements. I'm trying to do to the best of my ability to remember what they are and have them start popping up on the screen as I'm putting them in, just in case people want to follow them exactly how they are. Now, when I started doing what's for dinner, I never intended it to be like a tutorial. I don't feel like I'm that great of a cook to be showing people how to cook. These are more so just ideas on what to make for your family. And this is I'm not a professional whatsoever. I ended up having to trash my first go at this sauce. So after a second of having a moment of crisis and trying to figure out how I was going to fix it, trying to mix it in, see if maybe it was savable, and it ended up looking like grandma's ashtray. I just redid it and made a whole completely new sauce. There was no saving it. I just didn't add pepper the second time around because there was enough of it still left on the bowl that it was still going to give a good seasoning. After I put the marinade on, I put them in an oven at 350 degrees for about an hour until they were nice and browned on the outside and thoroughly cooked all the way through. Especially with bone-in meat, I really want to make sure you don't see any blood. Everything is completely cooked before I take it out of the oven. I paired it with asparagus and a baked potato. My kids like the chicken, not so much the asparagus, and we're still almost there on baked potatoes. So it was overall a good meal for the family, but I don't know, kids are kids. For this night, I decided to make a chicken stew. It's seasoned a lot like a gumbo. Well, not really, not even that. It's similar in taste. It ended up tasting similar to a gumbo, but a gumbo always has a roux to start off with, and it has slightly different seasoning. But this came out, that's what my husband thought I was making when I was cooking it. It smelled the same, kind of tasted the same, but not 100%, so I can't call it that. We're just going to say chicken stew. And also, it's not a soup either because it was a little bit thicker than a soup. When you reduce it down and everything, I don't know, it turns out more like a gravy. But I had to use up those chicken legs, so this is what I came up with to use that for. It was an absolute nightmare, not because it was a difficult dish to make, but this is something that has to sit and simmer. So it takes about 1 to 2 hours to make. When you're simmering it down, you have to reduce it for 3 times to get that nice dark broth. And it has been so hot here in Louisiana. Like, we've been in a heat advisory for easily 3 weeks. I think for the last 17 days we haven't gotten under 100 degrees, and the heat index is like 112 plus every single day. This heated up my house so bad. I would not suggest making this in the summer, especially if you're in one of those areas like in the Gulf area where we're just being boiled alive. Would not suggest making this, but it does taste good. This is just more a winter dish. Also, for the hard-boiled eggs, might throw people off, I didn't add it in for an ingredient. This is just something my husband likes. His grandmother used to do it for him, and he asked me one time to do it, and I did. And a lot of my kids like eating the hard-boiled egg in it too. Don't have to do this. It is completely optional. If you think it's weird, I understand. I thought it was weird too, but this is how my house likes to eat it. Again, it was really good. It tasted a lot like a gumbo, but it wasn't that. It was like a soup stew. Would make again, just would wait until the weather cools down. On this night, I decided to make sliders. My husband had been asking me for a while now if I could go ahead and make some, and I decided to get the things for this week's groceries and put it in to make them for him. I'm using ground turkey instead of ground beef, but obviously if you prefer the taste of one over the other, you can go ahead and use whatever you like. I'm taking about a tablespoon or two. It's just so that the onions and the bacon don't stick. I'm using turkey bacon. Again, if you don't like it, I understand. You can use regular bacon for that. You probably wouldn't have to use any kind of oil or butter or anything like that if you decided to use real bacon, because then you could just fry up the onions and the bacon grease, and that's would be delicious if you did that. But that's not what I ended up doing this night. I just used what I had on hand. And I'm getting those going, and I'm going to use these to go on top of the burgers. My camera ended up overheating this day. It was too much heat in the kitchen. We don't have an air conditioner in our kitchen. That's also why I haven't been doing as many what's for dinners. I've been dying of sweat and everything else. So I'm taking my turkey out of the pan, and then I'm going to get to making up my little burger patties. I'm doing them super tiny, and I'm squishing them thin so that I can stack everything up. This is what it looked like when it was finished. I ended up serving it with some steak fries that I threw in my oven on the air fry setting, and I just topped the burgers with some cheddar cheese and barbecue sauce. Everything was delicious, and it is always a big hit in my house. Finally, I am closing out the video with a pasta dish. If you've been around long enough, you know that my oldest son's absolute favorite food in the world is pasta. I have to make it at least once a week for him, and I try to find different ways to cook it so that A, he will still eat it, and B, everybody else still enjoys eating pasta once a week. So I decided to add in some pre-seasoned, pre-cooked chicken that I got at Sam's Club, and then I'm adding in a bag of frozen broccoli and cauliflower and a jar of Alfredo sauce. I added in a little bit of milk just to make sure there was enough liquid in the pan so that all of the pasta would cook up and not burn. And then I added some mozzarella cheese to that and baked it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes or so. Everything was pre-cooked. It was just to get it all soft and melted together. He liked it, but he did pick the broccoli pieces out. But that was to be expected. And that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And if these are the kind of videos you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!